We believe in Fiji that ocean life, it was worshipped by some of our tribes in Fiji. Like many people believe that the sharks is our sea god.
I've gone my entire career looking for sharks and seeing live sharks, which is an amazing thing for anybody to see a live shark swimming through the water. Now, I walked down the road where they sell shark fins in Hong Kong, and I saw the remains of more sharks in half an hour walking down that street than I've seen in 15 years of researching sharks. It's one thing to say tens of millions are killed every year, but when you can see it, just see it lined up right in front of your face, it's sobering, but it also just fires you up to go out and do something about this.
It's hard to know how much our shark populations have declined and if they're at a critical state or not.
What impact, the fact that there is so much of the fin trade coming through here, what impact does that have on the local shark populations?
The project's divided into two parts. We have the pelagic shark tagging part with the satellite tags, and then the Reef Cam project that focuses on looking at the relative abundance of shark species on reefs around Fiji. We just literally get a snapshot of what life is like underneath the waves for an 8-hour period each day. We catch quite an array of species because there's no bait, so we're not oversampling the predators. That's extremely powerful for the Fijian fisheries officers because they can gather data on a number of other species that we're not particularly interested in.
It'll help us to try and understand the relationship between sharks and fish communities and what are the implications of removing this top predator from that ecosystem.
There's sharks that live their whole life in the reef environment. There's other sharks that live far beyond the reef in the blue water. They're called pelagic sharks, and they typically travel huge distances and migrate across international boundaries. We're trying to catch them so that we can apply tags that actually report to satellites, which would actually show us where the sharks of Fiji go when they're not in Fiji.
This particular tag is set for a 10-month deployment. With any luck, it will be on the animal recording data.
In order to assist fisheries in understanding the impacts of their longline and purse seine fishery, we need to target the sharks that the fisheries are targeting.
Chumming for sharks it's not the most glamorous, but it definitely works.
We've had a bunch of baits drifting along, we've got a nice oil slick going. So far we haven't had any diners, but that's sometimes you start doing this and you get right on them just by blind luck. 15 minutes you have them, sometimes you go hours and hours and they show up. Of course, sometimes they never show up at all.
We're trying a bit of a different tactic today. We're going to go into the deeper blue as opposed to trying to target the structures that Callan's been pointing out to us the last couple of days. So we're just chopping up some chum and putting it in the bucket to start a slick, and then we'll get some baits in and see what happens.
Hopefully any sharks are in the area, they'll pick up that scent and they'll just follow it up to the boat. And then we have lines off here with bait on the hooks ready to get them. So now it's just a waiting game, really.
Shark! Big shark!
Pull.
Wait, Mark, they're up front.
Yeah, we caught a mahi, and the next thing you know, shark! And the team sprung into action. So yeah, now we're just crossing our fingers, hoping he comes back.
It's the most baiting, chumming, fishing I've ever done by far.
It's a lot of work for not much happening.
We're finding nothing but tuna and wahoo and pelagic fish. But we've seen one pelagic shark, and we have put a lot of bait in the water. We've done everything we've done in other places to find pelagic sharks. And it's been quite sobering that we've not been successful in finding some of these species that we're interested in, such as the oceanic white tip, blue shark, the silky. These should be very common in these waters, and they're not.
We are seeing much less sharks than we had originally had hoped for. If you had healthy shark populations, you'd expect them to be in all these different types of environments. haven't seen any work where people have actually tried to actively go out and tag some of our offshore or pelagic shark species.
We're focusing on the pelagic sharks because they're highly migratory.
We're really interested to find out what their depth use is. How do they really use the water column? In a place like Fiji where there's a lot of long lining, these are really important questions.
Right, it's a female. She has another hook.
When you're working up a shark and you've got them flipped over, you sense their vulnerability.
So PCL is 7.0, FL is 7.8.
When that tag pops up and sends us the data, then we'll get some information about its movement.
We need to know where they go so we can figure out a sort of regionally coordinated strategy for protecting them.
Serial 24384, ID 129938.
I think it's really important when people come into Fiji to do research that they make the effort afterwards to get the results back to local communities so they can make decisions about their resources, how to sustain them into the future.